over the last couple of days, we've already seen hundreds of millimetres in some areas. Now, in the 24 hours to 9 a.m, Gundawindi, 66 millimetres of rain. Port Macquarie, 76. Sydney was one of the top falls, 111 millimetres at Observatory Hill. That's about a month's worth of rain, the heaviest fall in 2 years. But the worst of the weather for much of New South Wales is still to come. Now, here are the totals since 9 a.m. with the current radar. It's been the mid-north coast the last couple of hours where we've seen the heaviest falls. Have a look. Port Macquarie, 79 millimetres in just a few hours. Taree, 90 millimetres of rain. You can see it's still raining though right up through the northern ranges, the western slopes to across the border, and there's some light rain extending right down to the southern part of New South Wales. Let's zoom in now on the Sydney region because the rain has increased over the last couple of hours. Some suburbs already more than 20 millimetres since 9 a.m. But have a look at the radar. This is your really heavy rain starting to push onto the northern beaches right now, and this is what is to come for the rest of the afternoon. Much heavier falls moving in, so the risk of flash flooding will increase, Kath.
OK, so Tom, that's into the afternoon, but we're being warned that it will intensify further into the evening. How much could fall?
Massive falls. We could have hundreds of millimetres in just a few hours tonight. I'm going to show you why. Have a look at the synoptic chart. There's two troughs of low pressure, one inland and one on the coast, but they're both deepening into low pressure systems, two of them there. Now, it's this one near the coast that will generate the heaviest rain, and that's because feeding into it, you have these very humid northeasterly winds. So a lot of moisture is coming down from the Coral Sea, the Tasman Sea, into that low pressure system. OK, so here is now the forecast rain going into tonight. Notice the darker red shadings developing there, starting around the Hunter, then moving down to Sydney tonight and to the Illawarra. Now, under that area of heaviest rain, you're looking at 3 hourly totals, more than 50 millimetres, and as an absolute peak, up to 220 millimetres around the Illawarra escarpment in just a 6-hour period. So we're talking about life-threatening flash flooding coming through later this afternoon, overnight tonight, into the early hours of tomorrow. And that is why, of course, there is a severe weather warning in force for flash flooding from the central coast down to the south coast. This warning, though, it's also for damaging wind gusts, starting in Sydney tonight and extending down the coast. Maximum gusts up to about 90 kilometres per hour. That could bring down some trees and lead to power outages, Kath.
OK, how will the system evolve throughout the weekend, Tom?
So the main rain band, it's moving towards the south. So here's the forecast rain. You're going through tomorrow morning. Look, it clears from Sydney by the middle of the morning. Still raining for the Illawarra. By the afternoon, the heavy rain contracts down to the south coast. But then, of course, we keep hearing about there's still going to be heavy falls over the weekend. Well, that's because, have a look at all these little blops of rain. That's showers and thunderstorms that will continue for much of the eastern seaboard this weekend. So it's not widespread rain that will lead to river flooding, but we'll have heavy pockets of rain from thunderstorms continuing further north from that main rain band. And we'll just finish here. Here's the total precipitation expected on top of what we've already seen. The blue shows over 100 millimetres, but again, around Sydney, the Blue Mountains, the Illawarra escarpment, you're looking at totals 2, even 300 millimetres of rain possible. That's why there's a flood watch in place for more than 40 New South Wales rivers. Major flooding is possible, and that includes the Hawkesbury and Nepean River. I don't think it'll take too much more rain until we starting to see Warragamba Dam spilling, Kath. OK,
and Tom, I know you'll be able to help me with this one. We're hearing different terminology to describe this weather event: rain bomb, black nor'easter, east coast low. What is indeed the correct terminology for this system?
Kath, I want to categorically say there is no such thing as a rain bomb. It is a ridiculous term. It does not exist. So let's scratch that one off the list. Now, I talked about that northeasterly airstream before. It's called a black nor'easter because those northeasterly winds bring in very dark clouds. So you could call it a black nor'easter. No issue with that. If that low pressure system I mentioned on the coast can stick around the coast for at least 12 hours, technically, it also becomes an east coast low.